Welcome to the Beaver Hacks podcast. I'm your host, Havel Konda. Today we have Andrei Stancescu, a first-year student here at OSU from Lake Ridge High School in Oregon. He was the president of his high school's chess team, is an avid runner, and is part of the investment group here at Oregon State. I'm very excited for you all to get to know him. Thanks for coming on the show, Andrei.
Thank you so much, Havel, for inviting me on the Beaver Hacks podcast. I'm grateful to be here, and hopefully I'll share some inside information with y'all.
So you just got back from balling up.
Yep, you know it. I was with my boy Armand. He goes to Oregon State also. He's a freshman, and he invited me, to play with some friends at McAlexander Fieldhouse, and we were just running fives, but, I put up a 3 at the end, He made a buzzer beater, and we won that shit. That was really, really fun.
That's what's up.
Yeah, and it was just a great game. There was this guy who had a YouTube channel, and he was actually recording the whole basketball game. So he got some great edits of me. Hopefully, I'll check those out later.
I've seen those stuff on his story sometimes.
Yeah, it's I don't know the YouTuber name exactly, but he always goes to the Oregon State gyms, and whenever he's playing basketball, he just has these cameras set up, and he gets all of these edits.
Is it on a tripod or something, or just?
It's with his iPhone, I think iPhone 12 or 11. But what's really interesting is he introduces all of the players before the game actually starts, so they know everyone individually.
Yeah, I'll have to drop by sometime.
Yeah, you gotta drop by.
You guys, yeah. So you and I, we met fall term. I think it was a very quick surface level thing when everyone's getting to know each other during orientation. But things really started kicking off. Vector Calc last term, winter term. But the thing that we both had in common from the get-go was we're both from Portland. Or at least you're from Lake Oswego. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, I'm from Lake Ridge High School. I was there for all 4 years, and I was living in Lake Oswego since 2016, I believe. And before that, I was actually living in Florida. So I lived there for 10 years of my life in Central Florida. And then actually before that, I was actually born in Canada. So Halifax, Nova Scotia. It's an island off in eastern Canada. So I've been all around, the world, Canada, United States, everywhere. And here I am now at Lake Oswego, and, I'm at Oregon State University.
And you're originally, Romanian, too.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. I'm 100% ethnic-wise Romanian. And so I'm a Romanian American, I guess. I don't really know how they call that, but I'm partially fluent in Romanian. If someone was to talk to me in Romanian, I would understand, most of the stuff, but my grammar and speaking is so-and-so. It's not, really the best. But I'm getting there.
So, why did you decide to come to OSU? What brought you to Oregon State?
Yeah, so Oregon State University, I feel like their engineering program is one of the best here in Oregon and the whole state. And one big concern for me when I was picking out these colleges and, knowing where to go, cost was, one big thing for me. Especially nowadays with tuition being really high, $14,000 or $70,000 for private colleges. Costs for in-state schools were really low, and I decided to go on that route. And just besides that, it's a really close location. From Lake Oswego, Corvallis is a 1 hour and 20-minute drive. So it's actually really close. I have that connection with my family and friends. And I also have a lot of friends still at Lake Ridge High School who are a bunch of seniors. So every other weekend or every other, other weekend, I come down, I play basketball with them, or I hoop up, play football. And, I just maintain that connection. So I really feel it's the perfect distance from home.
Yeah, on that note, actually, what's it like being at a state school? Do you see a lot of people from high school?
Yeah, so this is actually one, I see a lot of people from high school. Some people who are, from my high school were, I didn't know them that well, but they live, on the east side of campus. But one thing I want to bring in mind was, all of these students, they go to out-of-state schools because they want to meet these new peoples. They want the, the new community environment. But if you go to an in-state school, you have all of these people coming around the world. You have international foreign exchange students. You have kids coming from out of state. So, even if you want to find, something new or a different community, you just want to leave your house, an in-state school is a perfect option because you still meet these people. All of the kids on my floor, I would say, more than half of them are, not even from Oregon. They're from Alaska, Colorado, Idaho, Northern California. So, it's just, a really great place to meet, not just people from Oregon. So
I got, 3 guys on my floor who are from Hawaii.
Yeah, Hawaii. Yeah. Everywhere, man.
It's, it's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
So, I think, a lot of people are looking to go out of state because they want to meet new people. But, I mean, I feel like we've met a completely different dynamic of people here at Oregon State. But, yeah, there's definitely a greater margin of people that we've already met. So, we kind of have that familiarity. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we know each other.
So, Yeah, we do know each other.
Nah, don't be tripping like that.
So you're in Sackett Hall.
Yeah.
I'm in the wonderful Cawthorn.
Yeah.
You want to talk a little bit about what your dorm experience has been like as a first year student?
Yeah, so wrapping up, the year, we're almost done with school. It's like a week away. Really happy about that. I first looked at Sackett Hall because it was one of the honors college options. So I was in the honors college actually fall term. And, I primarily registered for the honors college because of these dorms. Like Sackett Hall, West Hall, they have so many great options, bigger bed sizes and just better communities, like, for a place to live in. But Sackett Hall, like, in general, is on my, like, top 3 list for the best halls, like, to live in. I mean, the vast area and, like, the vast space you have is just amazing. We have, like, 3 or 4 study lounges in Sackett Hall, like, on the first floor. We have, like, kitchens and bathrooms spread it across the hall. And we have, like, all these places, like, where people can just, like, socialize and, like, hang out with. There are, like, 4, like, lounges where we have TVs. It's a really, really great place. And, yeah, it's just pretty amazing. I'm pretty sure Cawthorn, it's got its perks. I know it's, like, on the quad or something. It's, like, a square.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the only perk with Cawthorn is the fact that, like, I feel like everyone's a lot more lively, with some of my friends and people that I know in West and Sackett. It feels like everyone's a lot more studious since we're honor students. Yeah. So everyone's kind of like in their room studying. But with Cawthorn, it's like in the lounges, wherever you go, there's like people everywhere. And I think I've heard similar stories from people that we know from like Poling or Buxton. Like in the quad, there's a lot less honor students, which I feel like might be a correlation to like people just being out there and doing more stuff.
No, yeah, definitely. Like the socializing aspect is like more prevalent, I feel like, in the quad, especially like where you have like a smaller space and area, so more people are like out doing stuff on the study lounges, like, socializing. I feel like you were right about like Sackett and West Hall. One thing I did notice this year is like more people like actually studied and like, stayed inside to like do their homework and stuff. I feel like there's like this stigma about honors kids, like they do their homework and stuff, they're not really like socializing. I feel like that's true, but there are definitely some people like, who are just different. They're in honors, but they also love to socialize. So yeah. It's just about the people you meet. That's like how I feel. It's like,
I think that really is what it comes down to. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's talk a little bit about, we mentioned the quad, and you have a fraternal twin.
Yes, I do.
The main man, Vlad.
Yep.
Bro, let's hear a little bit about that. What's it like being a twin?
Yeah, so it's quite the experience. I love having a twin brother. He is literally my day one. Not a lot of people can say that, but he's just a great friend also to have. When I came to OSU, I was meeting so many people and, I was going through a lot of like situationships and, just, figuring myself out. But at the end of the day, I always had my brother, I always had my twin brother to rely on. So it was really great to just have someone to talk to at the end of the day. He was a really close support circle, and I was helping him with homework and stuff, and it was just great to have him, like, side by side. And I feel like not a lot of people can say that, A lot of people confuse me between me and Vlad. They call me Dre, and they got a nickname for him, Vladdy Daddy. So, yeah. That was an interesting nickname, but, like, it's fine. In high school, they used to, like, call me Vlad. They used to call him Andre, but, like, now they don't really, like, people don't know I'm a twin. But it's just, like, something interesting to tell people, I feel like. Yeah. Funny fact, like, in high school, one time there was this, like, on April Fool's Day, we actually tricked our teacher and switched classes. We wore the exact same outfit, and this was during the pandemic, so we wore our masks, and no one could tell who we are, and we just went, like, the whole class, like, switching, like,
That's
places.
Crazy.
We tricked a lot of people. I don't know. It was kind of goofy. But yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned that, like, he's been here with you at OSU. He's a first-year student as well. Mm-hmm. I have a brother as well, and I feel like we are very close, but what's that dynamic like that's different to a typical sibling relationship? Because my brother, he's 3 years younger than me.
Yeah.
So we have different friend groups, different lifestyles. He's not a college student yet. He's still in high school. But, you and Vlad, you guys are both going through this experience together. So where do you think that difference comes in?
Yeah, so that's, like, a really great question. I mean, like, we don't live in the same dorm, obviously. Like, I live in Sackett Hall, Vlad lives in Poling Hall, and I definitely feel like he has his own group of friends. Like, the kids from Poling, that's his group of friends. And I'm still friends with them, but he has, like, a deeper connection with them. And I have my friends here at Sackett Hall. But like at the end of the day, you know, we're blood. We're like 99.9% related. So we're always thinking about the same thing. We always know what's going on. Like,
Do you guys have that where you like think of the same stuff? You're telepathic.
it's like a funny story. Like sometimes when we're talking, we do like this beatbox thing, and like we're just like beatboxing with each other, and we create like some sick beats. You know,
Oh, we gotta
it's like
hear
pretty
it.
cool. We can't really like telepathize, like you know, like think what the other twin is like thinking or predicting, but like we definitely got like some connections. Like we have the same type of humor. You know, we talk the same, but it's been like really interesting to see like how he has changed because he lives in a different environment. I mean, Poling Hall is a very different environment than Sackett Hall, the honors college. So it was really interesting to see how he has changed as a person and how I have changed. There are definitely some differences now, but you know, I feel like it was a great experience for both of us to live, you know, away from each other for 1 year, you know, just to like find ourselves and, you know, become, you know, different people.
Yeah.
Hmm.
In terms of other stuff you've done on campus, or I guess just this has been like a lifelong thing. Like you're a runner. You
Yeah.
and Vlad, you're both runners. You're very active, very healthy. Basketball, you're always on the move, right?
Yep.
What's
You
it
know
like
that.
running? Like I know you're really passionate about that.
Yeah, so me and Vlad have been running since the age of 7. When we moved to Florida, that was like one of the big things we wanted to get into. We weren't sure of like what sport we wanted to do. It was like soccer or basketball, but running was just a thing that, you know, allowed ourselves to be free and, you know, be very active. And we just had so much energy when we were kids, so we just stuck with running. Funny thing actually, when like we were in Florida, I was the faster twin. I'm not gonna lie, you know, I was beating Vlad in all of these 5K races and mile runs. But ever since we moved to Oregon, you know, in 2016, he started beating me. And I feel like, you know, he gained this sort of motivation, you know, to, you know, be better, be that better twin. And we always had like this competition between us. And like he's been training more. And so now he is a better runner than me. He trains more for like 800 meters, like more track events that are like mid distance. And I'm like kind of more focused on basketball and doing other stuff too. But definitely running has been like an important thing in our lives. I mean, my family runs. My dad does ultra marathons. He's gotten my mom to get into it too. But it's just like, you know, at the end of the day, after you're done like studying, after you're done, you know, working hard, you just need a break. And I feel like running is a great way to, you know, just get rid of all of that pain and all of that, you know, anxiety. It's just a really good way, especially if it's sunny.
How do you recommend someone get into running if they're like, someone like me who's like, I've tried to get into working out and
Hmm.
I'd say I get into it, but then I kind of fall out of the habit. How do you recommend someone gets into it and then stays consistent with it?
No, yeah. So motivation is a big thing, you know, when trying to being consistent and, you know, running or working out or doing any type of exercise. So for me, I just feel like running is really fun. And also, like, some advice for, you know, people who are getting into running, just don't quit. You know, you always have a goal when you're trying out for something like weightlifting. People want to, you know, be able to bench like 150 pounds, or like for running, you want to get a sub 6 minute mile or do a marathon. And, you know, you just have to have that determination and motivation at the end of the day. You just really need to be striving for something new. Like me and my brother, we just always loved running because, you know, of the social aspect. I feel like there are a lot of things like connecting into running. You know, we go to running club every single day, almost every day, like at 4:15, and we've built this like community of friends that we don't just run with. We do like swimming, we do like cliff jumping, we do this other stuff, and it's just like a social aspect and, you know, other things that go into it. You have to make like that exercise or activity fun, because if you make it fun, you're going to want to keep doing it. You want to be consistent with it.
So do you think like motivation can come from a group of people, like a
Yeah,
community that you base yourself in?
definitely. I feel like social aspect of like any like, you know, type of activity is a great help in making you stay consistent. Like you always want a workout partner when you're working out or when you're benching, deadlifting. You always want someone to keep you in check. And also I feel like the one thing that separates running from working out is like you're out in nature. Like that's the one thing I love. Whenever I'm running, I'm going to parks, I'm going to the woods, and I just get to see like, you know, stuff I don't see during the day. I'm always like stuck studying, you know, doing homework, vector calc, whatever that nonsense is. And I'm just out here like looking at the trees and nature, and I just feel like, you know, I'm connecting with it.
Yeah.
It might sound like a little bit transcendentalist or whatever, but
No, no,
like
I get that. Yeah.
it's just good, you know. That's what keeps me going. I
Yeah,
like it.
for sure. Do you think that applies to like that same level of motivation? I think we have talked about this. I think Caleb, we've talked about it too. It's like study groups, right? When it comes to studying for classes and stuff like that, I myself, I know I've been kind of like a I got to do it on my own. I got to make this happen. But do you think that kind of mindset of like doing it with the group motivates you more, and like doing it with the study group can help you
No.
excel?
Yeah, definitely. When you come to college, you're going to find yourself really alone, especially if you don't find those people. And just having a group of people you can rely on or do homework assignments with, study for finals and projects with is a great help to do anything. I mean, I met you guys like in discrete math. I have you and like Seth, Avery, all of these friends, and we just like kind of stick together and we do the homeworks every week. So having a group of people you have like for each class is like one of the keys to success in college. You cannot do this alone. Like, let me just like put that out there. You cannot do college alone. You're always going to meet people who are like you. You know, they want the same goal. They want an A in the class. And you just have to bond with other people and make groups. You know, college is not just about like education and studying. It's about making the friends along the way. It's like that quote.
It's the friends we made along the way.
Yeah, it's not about the end result. It's about the journey, bro.
Yeah.
That's like what it's about. Friends are an important part of that. And, you know, people you meet in every class.
So, I mean, I think when it comes to someone who is antisocial or just has a really tough time making new friends, I remember when I first came here, it was like a little difficult to meet new people, and it was like really daunting because, you know, we came from a state school, or we're going to a state school, so we know a good amount of people, but a vast majority of the people that we met here, we didn't know who they were. So how do you approach like making friends and getting into those circles if that's tough?
No, yeah, definitely. So many people, when they go to a state school, like, I feel like some people go with friends who are like currently from high school, and like looking like back at it, I know that, you know, you go to the state school with your friends, but also I like, you know, want to caution people, you know, you got to meet new people. You have to meet these, you know, different environments and cultures. So even though it's nice to have your high school friends to rely on because you have previous connections, you just got to, you know, put yourself out there. And in the case of like antisocial kids or people who, you know, don't want to communicate, just try new things. Like, you have so many interests. You know, if you like gaming, go to gaming club. If you like to play chess, go to chess club. There's so many clubs on like the OSU campus that you can just meet people of like different cultures and values.
If you like hackathons,
yeah,
come to Hackathon Club.
come to Hackathon Club every Tuesday, you know? Food provided is great.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think that's a great point. Clubs seem to be where I've made a good chunk of my friends as well.
Yeah.
You know, when it came to like the CS community, I feel like a good chunk of the people that I consider my friends now are from that community. Pulling up to clubs like ACM or App Development Club really helped boost my networking and connections here.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and then there's like fun clubs. There's like a Super Smash Bros. Club, and like
Yeah.
there's like a ping pong club, I'm sure.
There's a ton of clubs out like at OSU. There's a Baja Club that I went to.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I'll talk about that. It was great. So like at OSU, we have different engineering clubs. You know, I believe it was at the Cookies Club event, but
Yeah.
there are a ton of different clubs that are offered like by the College of Engineering. And one of my friends, you know, put me up with the Baja Club, and he told me, you know, every year the Baja Club, what they basically do is make these ATV vehicles, like all-terrain vehicles, like dune buggies. They don't make quad runners, but they primarily focus on dune buggies. And they take these out once a year, like in October or November, I believe. And they just ride them out in the middle, you know, of Central Oregon. Like, I was there last year with my friend, and we were just riding these dune buggies, like, in the Badlands of Oregon. It was, like, east of Milliken and Bend. You know, it was a great experience, you know, to meet upperclassmen who do, like, engineering, especially for me, you know, being in electrical computer engineering. Like, even though that's mechanical, it's just great to meet people, you know, with that same mindset and same, like, discipline in engineering. But it was a really fun. I mean, it was great to learn about all of the parts of vehicles. You know, I met a lot of new people, and it was just a great, you know, great time.
Yeah. We could talk about, I know you're really big into finances.
Yeah.
You're really big into stocks. You're in the investment group. We can get into that in a bit, but I want to talk about just like your experience. What got you into finances in the first place?
Yeah, so during the pandemic, I believe it was in 2021 at the beginning of the year, I was in this income and money management class in high school, and we got into the stock unit, and we used this like online paper trade, you know, software, you know, where you can trade with $500,000 fake cash, or it wasn't real money. And I was just really interested in the aspect of like risk taking and, you know, being like wise with your money. You know, the stock market itself is just a very interesting topic to understand because I feel like personally it's a social science. Like you got to understand politics of the world. You have to understand other people, what companies are making decisions, and that's why I just decided to go into it. Also in 2021, earlier in the year, I don't know if you remember, but the GameStop rally was like a big thing. You know, Roaring Kitty and all those meme stocks, AMC, GME, they popped off, and that just like really aroused my interest. I was like, wow, this is really interesting. So, you know, I took that interest and I went to my dad, who's like, you know, a stock guru. He knows everything about, you know, option trading, which I won't go much into because it's very complex, but he taught me a lot about, you know, stocks in general, option trading, and he kind of got me into this. He set up a custodial account, which is basically he owns the account, but I'm like the custodian. And this is for like people who are under the age of 21 or 18. And basically, I had my own account, $5,000, and I would just do small trades. So I would do something that's called option trading, where I would like sell a contract, basically betting that the stock price wouldn't go below this value, like at this certain time or date. And I would get like premium. So I would get like, you know, money from each trade betting on these stocks. But there was a lot of like risk management and, you know, fundamental technical analysis going into this. So I feel like, you know, it's risk taking. You have to know a lot of knowledge. You have to be wise about it, and you have to manage your money wisely. So I just feel like it's, you know, great to do if you want to build your future, especially, and you want to get like, you know, save money for retirement and investment purposes.
So for someone looking to get into stocks and get into finances, where would they start?
Yeah, so I would advise like complete newbies, you know, who don't know much about the stock market to, you know, just research about it, you know, talk with someone who, you know, is an investor, a bank advisor, anyone who has ideas about, you know, the stock market, and, you know, play with paper trade. Like I said, you know, how I started, I got like $100,000 in fake cash and I betted on these random stocks, you know, just like try this thing out, you know, see where you're successful at, see like where your strategies are working and failing, and just learn. Always teach yourself, because this is coming from you. Like when you're investing in stocks, your passion, it's like literally coming from you. So you should like teach yourself, you know, what is a stock, what is an index, what are these different statistics mean. And I feel like if you teach yourself all of these concepts over time, you will gain that experience to actually invest very well. And so that's like how it is for me. I've been investing for like 4 years now. You know, I started when I was 15 years old, and I was working a part-time job, you know, just putting money every single, you know, every other week when I got my paycheck into this investment account. And, you know, I would make more and more trades every year, and I just saw that progress over time. It was really good.
Yeah. On the topic of part-time jobs, you worked at Home Depot and Domino's.
Yeah.
What was that work experience like? Because for someone who is, you know, you're in an ECE major, so that's not really relevant to what you're going to be doing in the future. But why do you go into the workforce at an age like that?
Yeah, so actually my first job was when I was 15 years old at Kumon. So I was actually...
No way!
Yes, I was.
You were with the iconic
I was with the
Kumon.
iconic Kumon.
The concentration camps. Can I say that?
No, everyone hates me. Everyone's giving me bless. Like,
bro,
when I was like tutoring all the kids there, they were just like frowning at me
bro,
because I would give them X marks on their papers. Like,
you're the cause of the like the logo.
Bro, oh my
The
gosh, the
frowning
logo.
kid.
Don't even get me started with it.
My
Like,
God.
it was an interesting experience. Yeah, so that was my first job ever. So I was a tutor at Kumon, and I was basically a grader. So I would grade students' worksheets, you know, elementary math, middle school math, and reading, writing, and language arts. And so I would like help these students, you know, become better with their grammar, improving their sentence structures, all stuff like this. But one thing I learned from that is, you know, the aspect of teaching. You know, it's important for yourself to like learn how to study and like, you know, pass and get an A on the test. But it's a different thing when you're teaching that to a little kid or like a student. And I feel like that just really taught me to like express my ideas and my ways of thinking and solutions to other people. But it was a really, really great job. I mean, I was working with two other graders, and I was just like, yeah, basically grading worksheets, you know, Saturday, Sunday, I would just pull up, you know, get my pen out, blue pen, grade worksheets like that. And now I've kind of have like an empathy for teachers. Now I see why they hate grading so much, because I've been in that spot and sometimes I just wanted to leave. It was really, really annoying, but it was good.
Do you think being a tutor at Kumon gave you like perspective on teachers that we may dog on for being like a trash teacher, or someone that will be like, hey, this teacher like really sucks? Does that give you a perspective on maybe like why they might not be the best at teaching, or maybe like it's the student's fault.
No, yeah, definitely. So I feel like so many people sometimes have stigmas about teachers because they grade really harshly or they give out assignments like pre-lecture quizzes that no one likes. But, after tutoring at Kumon, like I realized that practice makes perfect. Even though like, all these teachers assign, so many assignments, quizzes, pre-lecture quizzes, stuff that you don't want to do, it is overall like benefiting you as a person because you just learn more. And so that's what I realized from like grading all these papers. Kumon has like this system where you do like classwork, you do homework, you do these practice problems. And sometimes even like when I was going through it, I was like, damn, I would not want to be a student just like going through all of this work. But it was amazing to see like the progression of the student. By the end of the unit, they would be like super, super good at like, multiplication tables or like PEMDAS or like sentence structure, like fanboys, like commas, sentences, all of that stuff. And I just feel like, even though these teachers, even at OSU or high school, they're giving out so many assignments, pre-lecture quizzes, I feel like that will make us great in the future because practice makes perfect. You just need to, progress. You need to struggle in order to truly understand that material.
Yeah. On that topic, struggling, working hard. I think you mentioned when we were talking before that you're an ECE major, of course, but you were trying to go into finance. ECE and finance, they're not very similar,
They're totally different.
You want to talk a little bit about why you got into ECE in the first place? Because I think that connects to this idea a little bit.
Yeah. So when I was going to college and I was choosing my major, when I was let's take a step back actually. Like when I was in high school and like middle school, I always had this passion for mathematics and science. And I was always compassionate for, calculus and all of these math stuff like statistics. I was really good at math. Like I was a tutor at Kumon. I had a lot of experience, like grammar arts, language. And when I was like applying to college, I already had this investment experience. Like I had a stock account and I was thinking, why not just get a finance major and like a minor in economics and go to a 4-year state university? But then I was thinking, I wouldn't really be challenging myself. Like I feel like a person themselves need to be challenged in order to like realize the true like struggle and pain of life. And so some engineering majors, like not a single engineering major is easy. All of them are hard in their own ways. And I just feel like majoring in ECE was like a challenge for me. I feel like sometimes in life you just have to do a challenge because you just come out as a better person. I've heard a lot of stories about people at OSU who have said, ECE is like one of the hardest majors, or chemical engineering, organic chemistry is such a hard class. But I feel like taking those classes will make you a better person. Even if you get like a B- or a C+ in that class, you pass and you have a better understanding of your major as a whole. And so that's why I was looking at, engineering majors or something really tough. And that's why I actually decided to minor in economics. I take my love for social sciences, understanding the ways market works, and I just, decided to add it as a minor because I feel like it's important to have that perspective while also getting into something technical like computers and electric fundamentals and all of that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about like different classes you've taken?
Yeah. So like as a first year, Oregon State student, you don't take really many classes relating to your major. You take all of these backcourt classes. You know what I'm talking about, like writing 121, Com 111, all of these classes that OSU requires you to take to, get that perspective as a college student.
Yeah.
And, I realized this is really good, to take these classes, understand what other people think and culture values. So that's basically what I've been taking the first term and second term. But, this term, especially spring, I've been taking like vector calculus 2 and engineering 103, which has an emphasis on coding. And so I really feel like as you get into the third term of your freshman year, you will like become more like acquaintanced with and beginning your like introductory of your major. So that's what I feel, that's what I've been doing. Other students have been taking physics classes or other classes relating to their major, but what my path was to focus on these backcourt classes first and then get to my engineering major requirement classes like later down the path. So that's what I've been doing. Yeah. Writing 121, all those classes.
What was the hardest class you've taken so far?
So far, the notorious vector calc.
Vector calc 1?
Yep.
Bro.
That was a tough class.
That's our origin story, actually, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone watching this, all those freshmen, vector calc is, it's not a joke, It's something to be, prepared for. It was really tough.
Yeah. Vector calc teachers are something else.
Yeah.
There's something else.
Yeah, I don't. Our teacher was pretty interesting, but I feel like it depends a lot on your teacher, and there's like a lot of studying outside of class.
Yeah. I think if you're studying outside of class, having that group of people, it's like that's
Exactly.
the number one thing. I know in our class, you'll be like, "Yo, Havel, I haven't seen you in weeks, bro."
I know, bro.
I was
Havel was
just off the
lacking.
grid, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, a lot of people like in college, they don't go to lecture for, other like some reasons. They feel like they can learn this information, on their own time because they're more focused, they have, other conditions that can make them, better prepared or whatever. But going to lecture, I feel like is the best way to learn, even though the teacher sucks. Like let's say the teacher has like a 1.5 out of 5 on ratemyprofessor.org. It's really important to learn their way of teaching because actually what you will have on the midterm and final exam is what they teach. I've noticed for like, so many classes like Vector 2, my professor was teaching in a way that was like very different than the curriculum, but so many people missed out on the lectures that when they pull up to the midterm exam they had no idea what the problems were asking because it was those little stuff my professor was including in the lectures. It was like stuff about physics, electromagnetism equations like Navier-Stokes equations, all of this stuff. And so that's why it's really important to pull up to lectures.
Yeah. On that note, I feel like that's a mindset thing.
Yeah.
Right? You got to pull up to the lectures because you're missing out on stuff that would be on the test. I also noticed, when we're taking discrete this term, the written homework is due on Friday.
Yeah.
And after Monday lecture, you're like, "Yo, Havel, let's go to the library. Let's finish up this homework." And I'm like, "Bro, why are you trying to finish it now? We got till Friday." And you're like, "No, no, no. Let's just get it done. Let's just get it done." I want to circle back to this a little bit more. We can talk about it later, but just briefly, like, where does that mindset come from of just getting things done?
Yeah, so like I kind of have this mindset of not procrastinating, right? I always want to get stuff, started on, even if it's just little chunks of it. So like a big project, I have like, a timeline of what I should do or like what events I should complete on this project. But even if you don't have a timeline, right? You just want to get started on that assignment. So like for our written homeworks, I would just do like the problems I know, or I would just like, jot ideas down for the homework. And I feel like it's a great start because, you don't fall in that lazy state of like, confusion, and you're not stagnated. You're doing something, you're getting involved, you're like making your mind think about these problems. So like let's say you get started on the homework on Monday and you don't know how to do a problem. Maybe you learn something, overnight or the next day you remember something, and then you'll have that answer and you'll write it down the next day. So that's why it's just great to like get started early on like every homework assignment you have. Even if you have like a lot of extracurriculars to do. I understand it's like college. It's just great to get earlier like started. It's a great thing to do.
So let's say you've got a lot of homework, a lot of things to do. It's finals week. I'm sure you have a lot of things on your plate.
Yeah, dude.
How do you break that
So
kind of stuff down? What do you use like a to-do list, or do you just write it down?
yeah, so the Valley Library actually provides like these academic planners that like go through every single week of the term. And so my way of organizing like my schoolwork activities, projects is to jot them down in a planner. I just have like 2 rows like on every single day, due today and what's happening today. And every single assignment I just jot down into my planner. And so I believe like since October or November of last year, I just have assignment after assignment of these like, different classes. And it's like something important to have because you're always on top of stuff. You're always on track of what to do. And so like let's say I'm studying for finals right now, I'm sure you're like stressed out pretty too. I'm like my like, goal is to get all of these assignments done and then also try to put in, a little bit time to study for these finals because I feel like you got to, chunk it out, like, make them into blocks and just like go for it.
Have you ever fallen behind and like procrastinated on stuff?
Yeah, definitely. So I've procrastinated a little bit for studying in discrete math. So like I know for the midterms, they were talking about like probability and counting, and I understood how to do this stuff, but like I was getting answers from some friends, and I didn't really understand it truly.
Some friends.
Yeah, some friends.
Some friends online.
Some friends online. Guys, don't use ChatGPT.
Yeah.
That's not good to
Yeah,
use.
that's a bad idea.
Yeah, so I was using, friends to do my homework assignments and stuff, and when it came to the test, I was like, what the hell am I doing? Like, I did not know what to write down, I was like trying to do stuff, but it's just really great to go through that struggle. It comes back again to that struggle and, you know, that discipline of pain. If you're not willing to put the work in, and if you want to get the answers from like an online source like ChatGPT or Chegg or like Homeworkify, like those websites.
You just listed.
Okay.
You go here, here, and here.
You know, I got my ways.
If you're a new freshman at OSU, go to these three.
Guys, don't use those websites, but use them with caution. You know, don't use them all the time.
Yeah, on the down low.
On the down low, yeah. Because if you keep using those websites, you're not going to really get anything out of a class. And when midterm comes up, you're just not going to know how to do any of the problems. Like, that happened to me.
Yeah.
It was not good.
This is like a total tangent, but you saw that GPT 4.0 stuff? Remember I sent you?
Yes.
Dude.
Oh God, that video was crazy. I don't know what to say about
the realistic laughing?
Yeah, you know.
Bro, people are going to have, like, e-girlfriends. Like, you know the movie Her?
Oh.
It's like where his like girlfriend's like a phone.
I think
like
I've heard of that movie.
Yeah.
It's like similar to like other science fiction movies like Blade
yeah.
Runner and something.
Yeah.
A lot of sci-fi movies coming out, man. Like Dune 2. That was such a great movie.
Yeah.
I was really hyped to see that. But
you know, like we had the NVIDIA. Remember when Jensen Huang came
Oh
to
yeah.
OSU?
Oh yeah, that was such a great event when.
And then the robot came on, and you were like, "Bro,
dude,
they're gonna take all our jobs."
I was scared. There was like for like the audience who's watching, like we had this event, you know, on April 15th where Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, came to OSU and presented about artificial intelligence. It was AI week at OSU. And he was talking about all of these great stuff about AI. And at the end of his like presentation, this like 6'4" robot walks out on the stage. And he's like, "Hey guys, this is the robot. Say hi, Digit or something."
Yeah.
And that robot was like menacing and tall, bro. He was like, I don't know
I
what
thought
he
he was
doing.
friendly.
He looked okay.
He was just like, "Hey guys."
Yeah.
Oh, but the waving was kind of off.
No.
It felt like.
The waving was off, but I was just like scared because like, you know, I have like this like stigma about like AI, you know. I feel like humans are going to be so dependent on artificial intelligence that like we won't be able to perform like our complex tasks or even basic tasks. Like I see a lot of people using ChatGPT and I'm just like worried about the future. You know, I feel like artificial intelligence is a great thing to have, especially for researchers, but I feel like we shouldn't be using a lot of it because we need to understand as humans how to do that. We need to understand like problem solving techniques. And that's why I was scared, you know. Jensen was talking about all of these positive things about AI, like, oh, AI is going to be used in healthcare science, climate science, forest management, all of this stuff. And then I was like thinking, but like, what about like those old practices? Like, that's how people get their degree. We're not going to ChatGPT University. We're going to Oregon State University. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how reliant are we going to be on artificial intelligence in the future? Like, that's something we got to be like up on checkup. Like, I feel like it.
I think on one hand, we could be entering a reality where it's like WALL-E, where
Exactly.
everyone's like super like lazy and like, you know.
Yeah.
But I also think that means like the world is heading in a direction where it's gonna be the people who are like programming these robots.
Yeah.
You know, like simple tasks and simple. I guess there'll be less diversity in jobs as well.
Exactly.
A lot of like menial tasks will just be taken care of by robots. You know, we're gonna get into like the Star Wars era where it's like droids and
bro,
stuff.
don't even remind me about that. Bro, my science fiction teacher at LBCC, like he was talking a lot about like that conspiracy theories and stuff. But
Yeah.
it was just interesting. He was
I want to talk a little bit
about
about LBCC.
Yeah. So I'm a degree partnership student, so I also take classes at Lynn Benton Community College, which is like a campus in Albany. They have a mini campus in Corvallis, and I took a lot of classes there this year. I took like integral calc, science fiction. I took you know, these backcourt classes because I feel like taking them at a community college, you know, it's way cheaper than OSU, and it saves money for students. But it's like you get to meet these interesting people. Like for science fiction, my teacher was like such a cool guy. I mean, he like, it was like this funny story, but like, do you remember like in the fall, like when we had on our phones like a notification saying like, oh, the government's gonna like reset our data, like software or something. It was like an emergency software test.
Really?
Yeah, that happened in the fall, like in October, November.
Like an Amber Alert type of thing?
It was something like Amber Alert, or it was like a National Broadcast Service test. And this,
oh wait, yeah, I remember that. I remember that. Yeah.
It was funny because this was happening during the fall term, and it happened to land on the date of the class. So when we walked in, the guy, like our teacher had this conspiracy theory that the government will take control, over like this stuff. And I was like, bro, it's just like, just a national service broadcast test. And he's like, no, but you always have to stay vigilant. You always got to be prepared. And I'm like, okay, I mean, okay, I agree with that. But one thing I liked about this guy is that he was always like mind opening, like he was just like taking these ideas, even if they were crazy ideas, he was like giving them like, he was just looking at them, he was like taking both right and left sides. He did not have like this narrow like tunnel mindset. He was always looking at different perspectives. He might have had like these crazy ideas with like, the conspiracy theory about the broadcasting, whatever, but overall he was just like an interesting guy. You meet these people at community college that you don't meet at OSU, right? You go to OSU, you have a class, it's a lecture size of 200 people. You're not going to talk to the teacher, right? You're not going to be like, yo, what's up, Mr. Guy, or something like that. You have to go, he's doing other stuff. But at the community college, you have these like smaller class sizes. And, you get to, connect with the teacher on a different level. I learned like so many things about Corvallis, the city of Corvallis, all these parks that I did not know before, going to LBCC. So it's just like, they don't just teach you education stuff, about curriculum and stuff. They teach you like, other stuff you should know for life. And, that's why I feel like it was really important taking classes there.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Really diversifies your experience.
It does, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I heard you like to play on the Nintendo Switch, right?
Dude.
You love Tears of the Kingdom?
Tears of the Kingdom is
your go-to game?
Yeah. I mean, Breath of the Wild was like better in terms of story, I feel like. Tears of the Kingdom in terms of functionality and like gameplay, bro, top tier.
It was really good. I feel like, it brings in these three worlds. You have the upper world, the middle world, and then you have the depths. And it was just like really great to see. I feel like, all the programmers, making that game, it must have been really hard incorporating all of these data sets and structures, because when you have to top on such a good game like Breath of the Wild, you just have to take it to a different level. And that coding is like really, really hard to like understand, I bet.
I mean, the hardware.
Mm-hmm.
The software running on the hardware.
Yeah.
Right? Like, running a game of that size. I don't think it was that much bigger in terms of file size than Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, the hardware running that on the Switch, which is how long has it been? It was made in 2017.
2017 when, like, Breath of the Wild came out.
So, like, a 2017 device is running a game of that size. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And the quality is great, too. It's 1080p, but, like...
I know.
Yeah.
It's really crazy. I mean, obviously, they've probably got, like, a better gaming chip. I know it comes, like, in a small size, but they've definitely, like, especially Nintendo, I feel like they've been, like, improving their games a lot.
Yeah. You playing other games?
I played Minecraft, Terraria, that's, one of my biggest games, yeah. I love Terraria because it's just like a 2D world, and, you can just, kill enemies. It's like a sandbox type game. You can build whatever you want. And it's like, I feel like Terraria has, like, different aspects you can, like, do, depending. It's, like, different than Minecraft in, like, different ways.
I haven't touched too much into Terraria. There's, like, the eyeball.
Yeah, the eyeball. I have Cthulhu.
Yeah.
You don't want to mess with that guy, bro.
Yeah.
There's actually, like, a monster called the Twins, and, like, me and my brother used to joke, like, I'm the red twin, you're the green twin.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they shoot, like, lasers out of their eyes. They're, like, really interesting, creatures.
Who's your main on Smash Ultimate?
I haven't played Smash Bros. In a long time, honestly. I'm not really, like, a big Smash guy. Okay, yeah. I play Link, because that's the only character I know how to do. Yeah. I don't play, like, Snake or Fox or, Bowser, but it's an okay game. I mean, I know it's really popular in the CS community. A lot of people play Smash Bros. Because it's just, like, I feel like it's, like, a surge of dopamine hitting you, like, I gotta get this guy's hit points, like, higher and higher and higher. It's, like, interesting to play. I don't know. But, yeah.
Yeah. Were you going to say something?
Oh, no. Wait, what? Oh, wait. About Smash Bros?
Yeah, were you going to say something about that?
Well, yeah, it's just, like, a fun game to play, but, like, I don't know. It's just not my type of games,
Yeah. I mean, I'm down to play with friends. I wouldn't play it on my own.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Mario Kart or Mario Party.
Yeah.
Those games are, like, party games,
It was, like party, yeah. It's pretty good.
I was playing Super Smash Bros. At the club I pulled up once.
Oh.
And then they got kind of like heated when I started beating them.
I know, dude. There's always
They're
they
so
always
sweaty.
get heated, bro.
Yeah.
Like we're just playing, and then they just like get
It's just
pissed, like,
games,
"Oh,
bro.
stop beating me at this game, bro." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Calm down, buddy."
Speaking of clubs, is the investment group a club?
Yeah, so it's an organization like at OSU that manages money in like 3 different portfolios.
Yeah.
But you know, it's a really interesting group because they manage actual real money, and they have these analysts that research about these companies, and you know portfolio managers, the people who control the money, make decisions based on like what the analysts research about. So in my case, this term I had to do NVIDIA. So I had to research about NVIDIA company fundamentals. I had to research all about their products and services. And so it was really interesting. Also, it was funny because when Jensen Huang came to OSU, it was like right when I was researching for NVIDIA. So I was trying to like get him to ask questions. I really wanted to ask him questions. And obviously, he was like escorted by 5 security guards. So I was like, no, I cannot do this. But I learned a lot of stuff, even from like an investment group or like finance. You learn like other stuff researching about these companies. I didn't know much about NVIDIA or, even like, computer graphics before I was researching. But now I know about the graphics cards. I know about the RTX 4000 series, the 3000 series. And I know like now a little bit about which graphics processing card you want to get the most. And it even helps, I feel like, for coding experience because, I feel like coding is this like such a wide general range of ideas in, programming languages. And like to understand coding itself, you have to understand like the computer and the chips and the products. So I really feel like, even though it's like finance and investing, learning about NVIDIA and, doing research about this company kind of helped my perspective also for coding and even, computer and hardware engineering. I may not know a lot about, specific programming languages. I mean, we're taking C++ and Engineering 103. But, it's just a great thing to, like, learn little chunks of information relating to coding because it may help you down the line.
Yeah. I think, I forgot who said this, but, like, coding and programming and computer science, just learning about computers is going to be the future.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be like learning your ABCs. Like, every person is going to be learning it, and it's just, like, a really important skill to have moving forward.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like one of the tools employers should know. Like even if you're not an engineer, you're like business or finance, you should know a little bit about like computers and knowing how to do simple programs because it just helps automate your tasks. And so like, for I feel like high schoolers, people watching this audience, if you're going to OSU and you want to major in computer science, just like do these projects for computer science. Like during the pandemic, I had a lot of time when I was like spending at home, and I decided to learn Python. And so I was actually watching these tutorials. I think it was like codeforfreecamp.org or something. And I was watching like these videos. There was like this 4-hour long video. I was just breaking up into chunks. Over the course of 3 months, in the summer of 2020 to 2021, I was able to make like this graphic user interface for like this button game. It was like a grid of 4x4 squares, and they were all different colors. And if the button on the square correlated with the same color on that grid, if you click it, it would give you points. So it's like, a fun game I did. And I guess that's like, where I kind of got like my business edge because I tried to sell it on slack.com. Or I forgot what that website, it's called a Fiverr, I think. You know what Fiverr is?
Fiverr's like the freelance thing.
Yeah, the freelance.
Yeah.
Dude, I tried to get freelancing on that. I was like, I tried to sell my game, like, just for a Fiverr. But obviously it didn't work. It was just something cool, to do these, like, computer science projects, learn about coding. It never hurts, like, in the future. Because now, I feel like when we're taking Engineering 103, I know these concepts, about arrays and for loops because I did those projects. I learned other programming languages, when I was, like, smaller.
I think the number one piece of advice when you're learning how to do programming languages is don't, like, sit there and watch a bunch of YouTube tutorials. Yeah. And, that's a good place to start, to get a couple of the concepts down. But don't read the textbook. That's not going to teach you how to do it. The projects are where everything's at. And the projects extend further in, their usability when you're looking at internships or companies, Companies are looking for projects. They're looking for applications of the programming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, exactly. Like you want to do these projects, even if they're small. When like learning Python, what I did was I just had fun with it. I always liked to program and I wanted to see, different applications. I crashed my code sometimes. I got really pissed off. But over time, I just built like these habits, that made my code work better. And whether it's like, small video games, graphic user interfaces, or even APIs with like libraries and text, just, going out there and, messing around with the code, it will just help you become, a better coder.
Yeah.
This is way better. Yeah.
I want to circle back to just your mindset in general. We talked about like getting things done, right? And you're really open-minded and trying to try new things. Do you think that's what college is about?
Yeah. When I first came to college, I was like dead focused on my grades. I was dead focused on getting A's and, securing a grade like I was in high school. That's like what I feel like, is a misconception of, high schoolers going into college. They feel like, oh, college is, just an extended version of high school. Some people think like that. Most people think it's like, something, new. But for the people who think, college is like high school, or you're trying to connect high school into college, it's the complete opposite of that. Because you don't have like class from 9 to 5, or 9 to 3. You don't have class all the time. You're not sitting down all the time. You have like time for yourself to do other stuff. And so I like had this time and, I just tried different stuff. Like Baja Club I did in the fall, I met a whole group of engineers that, they didn't really teach me how to fix the dune buggy, but I had like such a fun time, learning about this stuff and, meeting other people. And then like also running club, I just met these other engineers, taught me different perspectives about OSU. So I feel like trying new stuff is like one of the most important things to do out of college, finding that group of people. Even if you don't find that one group of people you're always with, just find multiple groups of people you can always be with. If you're like, your basketball friends, your running friends, your academic friends, you want to like, find friends who, suit your needs. And I feel like, it's just a great place to be at college, especially with this diverse, broad range of students, people from different cultures and backgrounds. It's just really great to do. And like for homework assignments, you just want to, always do it, always be on top of it. And having someone by your side, having a friend or a study group is a great way to succeed. Because like at the end of the day, you come to college to get like a 4-year degree, right? But no one is telling you to do that. You can quit college or drop out anytime to, do like a startup or work at McDonald's for a wage or do some other stuff like in real estate. But that motivation has to come from you. So you need to have, that grit. Wake up in the morning. I'm going to go to class. I'm going to work with this person and we're going to get stuff done. Because if you don't have that, or if, you want to, get involved with other distractions, you're going to be like, you lose track of the main goal. You have so many side quests that you're confused about what you're actually here for. So that's like the important thing, about college. Try new stuff, but also balance that out with academics. Find that perfect balance, and that's the key to success. That's what I feel like.
Really deep answer.
Yeah,
I'm going to hit you with an even deeper question.
Shoot.
All right.
Shoot.
We know no one's perfect. No one's always succeeded. Mm-hmm. You're no different. How do you deal with failure?
So, like, if I'm doing something really, really hard and, I'm at the point of, like, just giving up or, just quitting, putting my laptop down and just walking away, what I say to myself is I remind myself of a time where I've been through a lot of struggle. I've been through something really deep. So, like, in my case, there's, like, different scenarios. Like, academically, if I'm having really, really hard time on this achieved math, what I usually do is I just, like, take a break, step away from the computer. So many people don't realize that, just taking a break, going for a walk or doing something can just clean up your mind. It can refresh your mind and make you have other ideas. Or even playing video games. Sometimes I just popped up my computer, played Terraria, or like, played Tears of the Kingdom. And when I came back, my brain was just like all fresh and ready to, hit a homework assignment. But, let's talk like deeper. Let's say like, you're lonely in college and you feel like you don't have like, those friends you can have, support circles around. It just all comes back to, like trying new stuff and, just talking, having someone there to talk with. I feel like, you're away from your parents for like such a long time. You're not, you're an individual, you're like an adult, but your parents are always there for you. Like so many times this year, my parents have texted me about like, how are you doing? How's life going? How's college going? And, never like, back down from that. Always talk to your parents. And if you feel like, you have a bad day, you'll always have like your family or your close friends, from your hometown to support you. And as long as you have that, you can get through anything. I've been in so many tough situations, where friends have ditched out on me, or, other stuff has happened, and, people let me down, and I feel really, really depressed. But my family was always there for me. I always had my dad and mom to talk to. So just having that, close circle to talk to is just really great. That can get you through a lot of stuff in life. Yeah. Motivation too. You have to have that grit. If you don't have that motivation, that thing to, keep you waking up, then, you're just not going to have it. My roommate, it was a funny story. My roommate, so, at the beginning of the year, he's like in ROTC, but, he wakes up at 4 a.m., 3 or 4 times a week. And it's really hard for him, I feel like, because it's such an early time of day. He has to go to sleep early. And at the beginning of the year, he got this David Goggins flag or banner.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, he got this David Goggins banner with David Goggins carrying a log saying, "Stay hard." Yeah. And he put that right at the window. So every single day, this might sound a little bit cringe and awkward, like middle school or high school type stuff, but, I would wake up and I would just see that. And I would just be, like, reminded every single day, like, just get at it. Get at your goals, just be hard. Stay hard, and you'll be successful. And that's what, like, he taught me. I love that banner, and I'm, like, really sad to see that being taken down because everyone's just moving out now, He has to put away his stuff, but you just need, like, that close group of friends, and you need that motivation, because if you don't have that, you don't have that grit, you don't have that determinant, factor, then you're not really going to be successful or go, like, tough challenges.
What is it that gives you the motivation to wake up every morning and the motivation to keep going?
That's a good question. The motivation for me to wake up is, there are a lot of factors in that motivation. So for me, I worked, at Domino's when I was, in high school. And, I was working minimum wage jobs. And, I realized, hey, if you don't go to college, if you don't get this academic grind done, then you're maybe going to end up like a minimum wage worker, right? You're going to end up in these jobs, working minimum wage for a long time. And it was just like such a struggle, working at Domino's for like 4 hours even, just like putting like toppings on a pizza. I feel like for me, it was not the best fun I had. Sometimes it was demoralizing. And, that motivation stemmed from like a lot of stuff, not wanting to work minimum wage or wanting to make my friends and families proud. But it's like something that like comes from deep inside, you want to challenge yourself to become the best person ever. And, I've seen that, after I graduated high school, I had so much stuff. I had, like, the leader of chess club, I had, like, friends from City League and all this stuff. And I looked back and I was like, man, I did a lot of stuff, even with the pandemic. That took a big chunk, of time away from our schools, like 2 years, at least 2.5 years. But, you got to, like, challenge yourself. You got to put that question, like, so what? Even if the pandemic stops you, from having a good time in high school, do the best you can with the time you have. And so that's why, I moved like the chess club, my chess team online. It's like in these adverse situations, like what are you going to do to step up and rise? Like I saw this quote on Instagram, fear has 2 definitions. One of them is like, it's like fall, everything, and run. Like, I forgot what it was like. It's like, I forgot. One of them was like, let me search it up real quick. Hold up.
I bet.
You're going to like this one. So yeah, one of them is forget everything and run, but the other one is face everything and rise. And I feel like it's that mindset, What are you going to do? Are you going to face and rise, or are you going to just forget and run? And that's like where I feel like, that mindset, takes that branch. Are you just going to face that situation, or are you just going to go back to your comfort spot? I feel like many people, need to exit their comfort spot, like try new stuff, and then you'll realize, how great of a person, you are. Like how like many challenges you can take on at once. It's just a mindset thing. You just have to keep going at it. Always remind yourself you're a really good person, and always remind yourself that at the end of the day, there are going to be better days. You are going to become better.
I have a feeling this will connect to the breaking out of your comfort zone part, but president of chess club in high school. Yeah. What was that experience like? And did you have to go out of your comfort zone? Because club leadership, man. I've had to deal with that a lot in this club, and I'm sure you have too.
No, yeah. So I know you're the president of Hackathon, and it's a lot of stuff organizing. I bet even with this like podcast, you're doing a lot of great stuff for the club. But for me in chess club, a lot of people, when I first became a chess club leader, they looked down at me, bro. You know how many people were calling me a nerd? People were always laughing at me. Even now, like, when I say, like, I'm the leader of chess club, they're like, oh, you're such a big nerd. But, like, I look at it, as a different way. When you're, like, the leader of a club, even if it's chess club, you don't, like, necessarily, like, have to be a nerd. Like, there's so many, like, the game chess itself is just, like, really strategic and interesting. And I feel like there is a big stigma of, people playing chess being nerdy. But, like, it's just something great to do. Like, as the leader of chess club, it's not just, like, playing chess. But, I had to organize tournaments. I feel like during my year of chess club at high school, we played like 4 tournaments with 4 different high schools in the Portland metro area. We were playing with like high schools like 10 miles or 15 miles away from each other. And we like posted this stuff on Instagram, all of our socials, and it really became a big thing, especially with the pandemic, right? Everyone was like inside. People were playing chess.com. It became like kind of this fad. Like everyone just went to chess club. And I feel like, the stigma for, kind of decreased because it's not just nerds who play it, it's, people in class. I go to class lectures sometimes. There's this guy in my econ class who plays chess.com in the back. And, it's just like a fun game people play. It's strategic. And I feel like there's like this really, really big stigma going around like, oh, chess is just for nerds and stuff. But it's not really like that. Anyone can play chess. And, being a leader as 4 years has, really shown me that, anyone can do it. And, like, if you just put in the hard work and you want to know more about chess, it doesn't matter if you're a nerd. And honestly, like, now looking back, if anyone, like, calls me a nerd, like, oh, you played chess club, like, you're so weird and geeky, I don't care. Because I just, like, I just do my own thing, I just do something that makes me happy. It's just, chess is fun for me. I don't play it as much as I used to, but it was just a great thing to have in high school, and it was, like, a community of people.
On that note, do you think the perceptions of people, like chess club, for example, do you think people back away from rising up to challenges or trying new things because they're worried about what other people are going to say about them?
Yeah, so judgment is like a really big thing. And, when joining clubs, I like told a lot of people, there's a chess club here at OSU, I go there, sometimes like twice, 2 times or 3 times. But some people, are afraid to go to chess club because they don't want to interact with people who are like nerdy or whatever. But you just don't have to care, So many people in this world are afraid of, like, how they're going to be judged if they raise their hand in class or if they, like, talk out against something. But you just got to speak your mind and speak your truth because at the end of the day, no one's going to, like, remember that specific time, like, when you ask or talk. Like, there's this, like, quote my high school teacher said, people aren't going to remember, the way, like, you talked, this, events you did or whatever you did. They're going to remember how you made them feel. Like, whenever I look back, like, elementary school and, middle school, I don't remember these people, and I just have, like, a general feeling of how I think about them. So if I just don't care, about what other people think of me, then I just do my own thing, and I just often, come out, like, as successful. It's just a really important thing to have, putting yourself out there, trying new stuff. You learn, like, new things about yourself. Like, maybe, I'm not as shy as I used to be. Maybe I'm not antisocial. Maybe if I just, put myself out there, no one's like, gonna judge me. That's the thing, like, a lot of people think they're getting judged when most of the time no one really cares about what you're doing.
No one's watching you.
No one's watching you.
Yeah.
They're doing their own thing. You, like, walk around here on college campus, you're like, people are listening to AirPods in your music, and, like, let's say you, like, stumble or do something, like, no one's gonna be, like, pointing at you saying, like, oh, negative 1,000 aura or something like that. No one's gonna be saying that. Like, they don't care about, like, what you're doing. You just have your own life and you just walk on. So much stuff happens at college that you don't need to care what other people think about you. Because it's just, like, a lot of people around here,
Yeah.
It's different.
I don't think we touched on City League.
City League.
So you said your dad was a coach and he got on the yearbook?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
So, yeah, we had this basketball recreation league in Lake Oswego called City League, like you said, and it was basically for
City League wasn't for track.
It wasn't for track. This is for basketball.
Okay.
So it was like a basketball recreational league, and it was basically for high schoolers, 9 through 12th grade, and junior year, I was playing basketball, but just for fun, and I was playing with my friends, and I thought to myself, hey, wouldn't it be funny if we got, like, some of our friends and we, like, did a City League team, I was watching all these games when I was a junior, and I was like, I really want to, play on a team, work with other people. And so I made it happen. I got, my friends and some other people, and we created this team. And at first we wanted to, publicize it a little bit. So we wanted to get our security guard as the, coach manager, or like the team manager. And his name was Eduardo. So, I got the perfect...
Eduardo.
I think it was me who came up with this. Carson, if you're watching this is my idea, but it was that's why it was called Eduardo's Angels.
Eduardo's Angels.
It was, I don't know what I was thinking. I was thinking about Charlie's Angels for some reason, the movie.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, what if we were Eduardo's Angels, bro? Like, I don't know why I was thinking that, but, it just clicked and everyone liked it. But it was a really fun time. We would pull up to these games. Our security guard would just enter, and, he's like this like Mexican dude, but everyone loved him, like he was this popular guy in high school. Like I still love him. He was just this great guy spreading positivity and kindness. So it was just great to have, and playing with your friends, it was just really, really interesting.
On the note of like memorable teachers, how do you think a teacher's, or I guess like with certain teachers at OSU, they can really leave an impact, right? In good and bad ways.
Yep.
How do you think a teacher's, I guess, way of teaching a subject has an impact on you as a student wanting to continue studying that subject or liking the subject?
Yeah, so like at OSU especially, there are teachers, who have different ways of teaching. Like when you register for a class, or when I registered for, fall term, there were some classes that had this thing called the flipped classroom environment, which basically, made the students study outside of class for a lecture, and then they took like a pre-lecture quiz. But there are also some classes where like the teachers just give out examples or definitions. And so like one class we had this term, Engineering 103, Alexander Guy, the man, the myth, the legend, I really like this teacher because like he's just like straight to the point about, providing information to the students, being very flexible and being very direct. I feel like, it also depends, like, on the age of the teacher. Alexander, like, Mr. Guy, he's, like, really young, so he connects more with the students. Sometimes he made, like, a funny joke about, like, Dark Souls game.
Yeah,
something like that. You remember that?
Yeah.
But it's just, like, those, like, small things, Like, Mr. Guy is, like, pretty young, and it's just, like, his teaching method is different than, the more traditional methods of, like, oh, let's write down the definitions, study notes, stuff like that. It's like a lot about, communication and asking questions. And so I feel like, teachers that have like, a connected environment of people asking questions, not just like when the teacher's talking, yapping all the time. It's really great to have, other students asking questions and sharing their thoughts, because then you just don't hear one opinion. You hear different opinions and you kind of get a better understanding and idea of the class. And so that's what I like about, teachers that say like, oh, what's your question on this, or like, do you have any questions? Because like some teachers I had in the past, they just literally go over all of the lecture material and they don't really like answer the questions that well. They kind of dismiss the questions to just get the point done with. And I feel like that really like doesn't do a student very well. It harms them actually, because if you can't hear other ideas and questions, then you don't feel like that struggle of understanding the material. And so that's why there are pros and cons of certain teachers at OSU. Mr. Geyer was a very good teacher, I feel like.
There's less of that in high school. I feel like the teacher kind of has to at least be a little bit interactive, for the most part, unless they're like really not into it. But like, you're spending the entire year with them, or like a semester with them, so they gotta like commit to something. Mm-hmm. But at OSU, it's like it's a lecture hall of like
200 people.
200
like
people,
300
so
people. It's crazy.
They don't have to care.
Yeah.
They just like do it in and out. Like you're not gonna talk to them, whatever, unless you go to their office hours and stuff and like really try. Yeah. But with certain teachers, right, you're actually like more inclined to go to their office hours and actually get to know them, and then
and that's the thing. I mean, like in high school, you always had that teacher by your side, available to answer questions. But when you get into these like lecture size classes of like 300 people, or like you're definitely not gonna know like everyone in the class. It's just like you're less motivated, or you're less like, how do you like put this? You just don't want to ask the teacher as much because you feel like disconnected. You feel like you're just one in the crowd. But like that's why it's really important to just go to office hours, make those connections, because it's all about being in a team. You're like you're not in this alone. You got to be in this together. And so if you just not ask the teacher for help, at least go to their office hours or at least ask someone else for help, because I'll always, help a student succeed, I feel like. Yeah.
On a final note, the big question, what advice do you have for the people watching right now, the OSU students that are going to be pulling up next year? They're going to be freshmen. What's your number one takeaway from like your experience here? What do they need to look out for?
Yeah, so definitely, like I touched on it a lot, but try new things. Like I always remember that stuck in my head, the Zootopia stuff, like try everything. Oh. And it's like you just have to try new stuff. Like I did so many clubs this year, like Baja Club, Skate Club, Investment Group, and Running Club, that, you just meet all of these new people. And I know like college is going to be really, really hard for you in the beginning. You're going to be faced with so many decisions, so much stuff to do. But over time, that's going to change. You're going to have better days. Like at the end of the day, it's not going to be bad. And over time, you're going to create the schedule and habits of, managing your time. But in the meanwhile, you're at college to learn, but also to meet new people. It's not just about studying. It's also about, meeting new people and, gaining ideas from other people. Because, you're going to have people from different cultures. There's this person in my economics class who's from Italy, like a small town in Italy of like 8,000 people. She tells me stuff about Italy and their culture that I had like no idea about, or like, just small things. But like, it's about meeting new people, I feel like also, try new stuff and also reach out for help. You always have your parents. I know that your parents, are not going to be with you and they're going to be at home, but if you're ever struggling, you can always rely on your parents to talk with them, to just ask questions, because they have been through this. Most of your parents, I feel like, they have, experience in life. They, may have gotten a college degree. They have lived in the dorms. So just ask them questions about, basic stuff like, how do I get through this? Even if it's like doing your laundry or setting up like your table or desk, asking people is the best way to do stuff, if it's especially your family and close friends.
I think we mentioned like, leaving your door open.
Yeah.
I left my door open on the 5th floor of Cawthorn, and like people would just be passing by and we get to know new people.
Yeah.
That's the perfect way.
Exactly. Just like leave your door open. Don't like be the type of guy to close your door every single time you get back from class. Just leave it open. Get some fresh air in. Maybe someone will pass by and say hello, and that's just how connections start. Get to know the people across your hall. Make connections, and that's just like the way of doing it. That's great. Even if you don't like the people in your dorm, you have like, not really great friendships with the people across your hall or your roommates. You're always gonna have other people. College isn't just about your roommates or your dorm mates. It's about, trying new stuff and exploring different stuff. So if you don't like the people on your floor, then, try other stuff. Go to other floors. Go to other friends. Make new connections. Because, no one is telling you not to. Like, you're the person. Like, there's like this quote, like, the only thing from stopping you from achieving your goals is yourself. Is literally yourself. Yeah.
All right. I think that's all the time we've got for today.
All right.
Check us out on Instagram at Beaver Hacks. Join our Discord. Follow our TikTok, which is coming soon, I think. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Andre.
Thank you,
Dr. Dre, my number one guy.
Dr.
Love
Dre.
you, man.
Oh my gosh. All right. Thank you for having me on this podcast. Bye, everyone.